Welcome to another video. I am Steven and I'm going to take you to the basics of that. So in this video, we're going to look at data types and variables as part of the basics of that in order to continue to Flutter. So we have two ways of going. There are two possible ways we can learn this stuff. We can get to our browser and look for datpad.dev and we'll be able to program whatever we're going to do here. But I prefer using Visual Studio Code since that's what we'll be going to use. So let's open our Visual Studio Code. If you don't have Visual Studio Code, I have a video. I'll try and leave a link inside the description so you can okay, so here this is the interface of VS Code. You're going to create a new project. There's different ways, so I'll bring up my terminal here. Then I save my project in a particular folder, so I will navigate to that particular project, that particular file, so wherever you want to save. Okay, for your sake, I'm just going to desktop. We are saving this project to desktop. So now you see Flutter create. What's the app? I'm going to say that underscore basics. I think it's cool. That underscore basics. You should be connected to the internet in order to get the packages. Alright, so it is done. So I'm going to say cd that underscore basics. Basics. Then I'm going to say code space dot. Then so that will bring me a terminal of that particular. Okay, so here we are in our new project. When you create a Flutter project, this is how the interface looks like. So as you are now going to start, let's open this lib and click on this file. Alright, so this is a template default code given to us by Flutter. So if you run this code, there's a particular interface you're going to get. Since it's not gotten there, you're now come to start. So let's do Control A to select everything. So we are going to start our own code. But before we start, please install this. Search for code runner, and install this particular package, code runner. If you install this package, you're going to get this particular symbol. And after you've installed, then you go to settings. You can click on control comma, then you search for code runner. So you look for run in terminal. It is unchecked, so you have to check it. Then you come to save file before run. Alright, that's what you have to do for now. Okay, so back into our file. In naming that files, we always have the extension .dat. If you open an mp3 file, you see the extension .mp3. So here, wherever the name is, we save it .dat. Alright, and in starting that application or in programming with programming with that language, the entrance of the code is main, something like this. This is the entrance of the code. Entrance of the code. If I should change this to man, you see that there is no run. Let me go back. You see, when you have main, you can get these buttons up here. But the moment you change it to different name, you see the buttons are gone. So always, whenever you start that application or Flutter application, the code should start as main, something like this. It always, and most of the time, do well to add. I will explain this as we go forward. So it's void main. I will be explaining this not now, later in the upcoming videos. Alright, so I said we're going to look at data types and variables. So before we start, let's look at data types. So when you come here in tutorial point, we have numbers, strings, booleans, lists, and maps. These are, I think, the data types that we have. I believe there are more. As you get into it, you're going to get it better. Alright, so when you take number, as a type, the number has subtypes. Should I say subtypes? something like that. But what I'm trying to say is the number is like a mother which contains others. So inside the number we have double and integer. Inside number we have double and integer, and double here, this double is numbers with decimal points. So a number like 12.5, sorry, 12.6, I said 0.5 but I've typed 6. Okay, so 12.6 is a double. Double simply means decimal numbers, and at the same time you can have like 50. 50 is a decimal number because all whole numbers have 0.0, so it is a double figure. And we come to integer. Integer takes only specific numbers, whole numbers without points. Double can take an integer, but integer cannot take double. Alright, so let's go to strings. We have another data type called strings, and this strings deals with alphabets. If you open an app and we see hello, welcome, or we've been a while, Any text you see in the app is as a result of string. So if you want to type my name is so and so, you should know that it is of type string. Whenever there is a sentence in an app, it is of type string. So I can say my name is Steven. This sentence here is a string. And if you want to, okay, you get it, but just understand and get this one further. Then we have another one called booleans. Booleans deals with either the thing is true or it is false. Either the thing we are talking about is true or it is false. That's the concept of booleans. Then we have list and maps. So list takes set of items. Likewise, maps, but there are differences in it, which we are not going to discuss in this video. List and maps. Alright, so we are going to start with the examples. Okay. So these are the data types. We are going to look at variables. When you talk of variables, variable is let me say a placeholder. Variable is a placeholder. So we can have a container which contains some particular items. So in this case, the container becomes the variables. The container becomes the variable, and the things inside is the value. So here we're going to talk about variables and values. So let's take an example for it. When I say Steven, whenever you hear of Steven, you know that Steven is a human name. It's a name of a person. So this Steven is a name of a person. So it becomes the type of this is human. The type of this is human. And Steven might have a nickname. So whenever you call the nickname, we are referring to this Steven. So this is how we are going to do it. Then we are going to say Steven of type human, which we are going to call him by his nickname. Let's assume something like this. So we are saying this table is of type human, and let's give something, we call it by his nickname. So whenever we call this name, we get Steven, meaning this name here is holding Steven. So let's look at the definition of variable here. Okay, a variable is a named space in the memory that stores values. In other words, it acts as a container for values in a program. So this is the syntax of a variable, which I'm going to explain. Okay. So as I said, human, Calamus, Steven. This is the type, of which this is not in that language. I use this as illustration. So when you hear of Steven, you know that Steven is a name, which is a name of human, and he has a nickname, Calamus. So whenever you call this Calamus, you are referring to this. Alright, so let's give examples in that. So we have, so when it comes to that, when you call Steven, I want to see Steven inside my application. So when I type Steven, then I'm going to see this Steven is of type string. It is of type string, and let me give it a variable name as name, which is equal to Steven. Then I'm going to put it in this and end with this. So we have a data type, the variable name, operator sign, then the value. So when you put it on this, it says a string, the value of the local variable name. So meaning name is the variable we are talking about here, and Steven, as he said, the value of the local variable. So here is the value. So when in strings, whenever I want to declare something as string, you put it in a quote symbol, either double quote or single quote. So you can likewise do this. You can likewise do Steven, and it is going to work. Alright, so this is an example for string, a variable of type string. So this is the syntax for variables. Whenever you're declaring a variable, you first start with a data type. With the data type, then you come to the variable name. Here's the variable name. Then you have operator sign, and this is the value. In other people call this variable name as identifier. This is also called identifier. Alright, so this we can also say assigning. So here what we are trying to say in this particular code is we are assigning this to this. So whenever we need to use this, we are going to call this. So this particular name one or name is holding the value of this. So let's go to another example. You can say int items. Int items is equal to, let's say, 34. Then we end with semicolon. Whenever you are done with the code, you always end with a semicolon. Whenever you know that your code is complete. So this is a complete code. So we end with a semicolon. Alright. So this is an integer, but we don't write in for integer. We write as int for short. Okay. So when we come here, this is the identifier which is holding the value 34, the value 34, and this value is of type integer. So always, to get the data type, you look at the value to get the data type. So the value will tell you what type it is. So here it is 34, and we know that we said here that integers are whole numbers. It takes a whole number, and double takes decimal numbers. So when you write 34 here, it is going to tell you that, okay, so 34 meaning I need integer. So when you put on this, it tells you that it's a type of integer. If I should add 0.0 to it, it is going to say a value of type double can be assigned to a variable of type integer, meaning we are saying here is we are going to have integer here, but we are given a value of type double, right? So whenever you want to declare a variable, you look at the value. You should know what the value is going to be, then you put it as your integer. So in cases that you do not know what you are going to do, there is a way to do that where you are going to get there. So okay, let's go to that place. In cases you do not know what you are going to get as a value, you can either put here var, and this var is not a data type, but it helps that language you are inferring the language. You are telling that compiler to go and look for the data type of this particular item here. So when you put it on this, it automatically gives the type that it is a double, but it didn't actually state the type here. Alright, so whenever you do not know the type, you can actually use var, which will sort it out for you. Then you have another type called double. So with double, let's say item is equal to 23. Okay, so double, though we know that double takes decimal numbers, but I told you any whole number has a point of 0. So this is possibly a double figure. So you can equally add 0.0 to it, and this is going to work. Alright. Okay, so now I'm going to say print name and end with semicolon because it's a complete code. So I want to see this particular thing here. So I'll come and run the code. It's going to bring up this thing, and the value is 7. So though it is in a code symbol, but it came as a raw value because it knows that we are trying to tell the compiler that this is a string value. So she take the things inside the quotes only and bring it out. Alright, so this is all about, I can't say all, but this is the basic thing you should understand about data types, and variables. Data types, we have the number, which contains double and integers. You have strings, which is of alphabet or sentences. You have booleans, which is of true or false. And you have lists and maps. And I'm saying that list and maps contains a number of like items, which we'll be discussing in upcoming videos. And we have examples of variables here. And I told you that every variable has a data type, identifier, the operator symbol, or as, and we end with a semicolon. So the type, based on the value, you get the data type. So based on the value you put here, you're going to declare your data type. All right.